Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we're here with Daniel Pittman, who is the founder and developer of EtherChest. EtherChest is an Ethereum validator ecosystem on Ethereum 2.0, and they make staking easy. So I haven't done any interviews or talked really much about Ethereum 2.0 at all. So I think this is going to be really insightful for a lot of people watching, and just to gain some insight on what's going on with Ethereum and where things are headed. So, without further ado, could you just give us a little introduction about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you for introducing me. Daniel Pittman, founder and creator of EtherChest.com, a staking service and ecosystem, basically meant to allow anybody in in Ethereum on any of the blockchains, anybody who's interested in staking Ethereum to get involved because as many people know, 32 Ethereum is the entryway into staking, which is, a lot of money. Most people don't, maybe they have it, but they don't want to spend it on that. So we make it affordable. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's really, really important because that's going to cause a huge barrier of entry, and you guys bridging that gap is going to be really, really important to get a lot of people into the space. So, with that being said, I mean, just to get a little bit more information about you, when did you originally get into the crypto space and blockchain?
Okay. Oh man, that's yeah, it's a long time ago. I was going to college in Butte, Montana at Montana Tech, and a friend of mine, it was a it was my friend's roommate. He was like, "Yeah, I'm buying some oxys, bro." And I was like, "Whoa, what? On the internet?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, it's safe. It's safe." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm using cryptocurrency." And I was like, "Huh? What is this?" So he told me about Bitcoin. And unfortunately, the sad part is, and that's where crypto kind of came up. So it's a drug story, but but that's what he did, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And that was in 2010, I believe. And then I moved out to Portland, and kind of the whole Occupy movement and everything started happening. And I mean, we had a huge Occupy movement here in Portland. It's Portland, so we do our things. But yeah, I was like, man, I'm not really into protesting. I don't really want to camp out. I don't, but I want to help. I want to help in some way. So how can I do it? So I was like, man, seems like the banks, maybe this is kind of the root cause of all of this. Is there a way that I can use money without using a bank? And I typed those words into Google, and the first thing that popped up was Bitcoin. And I was like, what? That stuff my friend was, are you kidding me? So at that point I started, learning a little bit more about it. I don't remember if I purchased any at that point, but by 2013 I was mining with an ant miner. And I called it my space heater because I had one in my little tiny house, and it was heating up the place quite nicely. But yeah, I actually was able to earn a little bit through some of the mining pools with it. And it wasn't very much. It was like $25 a week, and I'm like, man, this is cool. I have a little extra spending money. This is awesome. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of continued. I started trading on Bittrex, and just getting my feet wet with all the different altcoins and that kind of a thing. And let's see, I think about 2017 is when I really started hitting it hard, started trading, started really putting my money in it, and really just going for it. So yeah, ever since then I've been just really into the technology, building projects, smart contracts, advocating everything that comes with the whole industry. So
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So you've definitely been in there in the space for quite some time, or at the very least, you've known about it from nearly the beginning. So yeah, that's awesome. That's a nice chip on the shoulder to show people. It's like, hey, I'm one of the original guys. Like, because I remember when I was coming in 2017, it's like, oh, you're so late. But now, I mean, everyone's still thinking like 2017 is early. So yeah, it's been a ride in crypto, no doubt.
it's
So
fun.
Yeah, yeah. So, can you give us a bit of an introduction to EtherChest, what it's all about, why people might want to take advantage and, check it out and what it's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, real simply, you said it, Ethereum or EtherChest is an Ethereum staking service, and we allow people to gain entry into it. We've made it a little bit more fun. So instead of just sending us your money and then hoping and praying that we don't spend it in the next 2 years, we've included NFTs and actual fungible currency as well. The non-fungible tokens serve as kind of proof of ownership of your stake. So when you stake with us, we'll send you what's called a gem. This gem is tied directly to the amount of Ethereum that you've staked. So let's say you're a high roller and you got 1 Ethereum, you get yourself a diamond, and then you gain entry at that 1/32 of a validator, and then and that's how you kind of earn. In the interim, the really interesting part and the really scary part, I think, for most people, is the fact that validators have to lock their Ethereum. So for the first part, maybe a good part of a year to year and a half, validators will not be able to touch any of their stake or rewards. So kind of to alleviate that, I've come up with this concept of ducats. So this fungible currency that's tied directly to the rewards. So you've got the gems that are tied to the stake, and you've got the ducats that are tied to the rewards. Those rewards will actually, give it a little bit of liquidity. So since there's some dexes and stuff that you can use, hopefully you'll be able to move your money around. But it does allow for some, little bit of decentralization and using a little bit of the blockchain ledger in order to keep this more transparent.
Yeah, 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 that makes a lot of sense. So the problem that you sort of set out to solve is just this issue with staking, like the barrier of entry. Do you want to just break it down a little bit more what you guys set out to like solve with
Sure. So, I
EtherChest?
mean, absolutely. It's one, the entry into this. Again, it's not easy for most people to hold on to 32 Ethereum, to want to spend it in that kind of a manner, lock it up for 2 years in hopes that a project will succeed. So there's a lot of these kind of risks that are associated with staking on Ethereum, and we wanted to make it a little bit, alleviate some of that risk by taking on the burden of running the servers, securing them, paying for that kind of hardware and the internet, the service and what everything that's involved with running, these kind of validators. So we want to take that burden off of people, and we want to also allow them to gain entry into this with a lesser amount. So the lesser amount being zero point 0.1 Ethereum for what we call a Ruby, gets you in. So right now that's like $35. And I most of the people that I've spoken with find that completely reasonable. And yes, you don't, again, you're looking at 4 to 10% APR, so you're not going to get rich off of Ruby, but it's a way for you to be actively involved as a validator. And a gem is kind of a badge in that way, to where you can say, look, I'm part of the block validation on Ethereum.
Yeah,
As far
yeah.
as, go ahead.
No, no, I was just saying, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the biggest thing, so we that's one of the biggest things that we solve, in my opinion. And then of course the second part of that is liquidity. So it, like I said, you're not going to be able to touch this Ethereum, and I mean I'm not even going to be able to. Nobody will, right? I mean we can cash it out, but then I don't even know. That's a good question. I don't think we can touch it at all. Once it's deposited into the smart contract, it's there. So we need some kind of sense of security, and this is why I've created the gems and the ducats, right? So in that way, the ducats give you a bit of liquidity. If you want to get out of your stake, now you can sell your gem, right? So if you go onto an NFT market, let's say OpenSea on Ethereum, or collectibles on, was it Wax? So there's many different places where you'll be able to do this, and you can sell your NFT and get out of it. There you get your original stake back, and whatever your agreement is with the seller, right, or the buyer. So this is kind of a way. It's an ecosystem. It's not just, hey, give me your money, I'll give you some money in a couple of years. This is like, hey, gain entry into this ecosystem that has fungible, non-fungible tokens. They're both backed by the stake and validator Ethereum. I mean, there's there's this whole huge sphere of an ecosystem, like I say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So does that mean that they're also getting some of, or I guess not, because the rewards are all locked up. I was just thinking in my head, like, would there be a way for people to get like a small portion of the rewards early? Is that possible, or are they really just have to wait for the full thing to actually get that?
Yeah, I don't see a way of them getting their actual Ethereum until what they call the merge. It's phase 1.5, where they put Ethereum onto one of the shards. So once that happens, then the Ethereum will be liquid again. However, I'm
Mm,
not sure if they're at that point yet going to allow validators to pull out. So
mm.
it's a bit tricky. But again, I'm in the same boat, and every single validator is in the same boat. We're
Yeah,
all doing this together. So at least it's not like, oh, on EtherChest they just keep your stuff. So it's
yeah,
every.
yeah.
And I wish I could instantly just pay it out to you, and then we don't have to worry about it. You're done, and then we can mop ourselves clean of it, because I don't want to have that kind of responsibility. I want you guys to be able to just have your stake, and that's why I've created the fungible and non-fungible tokens as a way to alleviate that. If there becomes a market for it, then of course you could sell your NFT, and I don't see why there wouldn't be. I mean, these tokens are tied directly to a stake on the Ethereum 2.0 network that's earning. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So then,
Yeah, go ahead. Please.
so after all that time, and then they will get the rewards. Is that just going to be in the form of another NFT? Is that going to just be like they're going to get Ethereum? What is that going to look like?
You're gonna get straight Ethereum at that point. So when it's all said and done, and we'll release, we'll announce it when it happens. You guys will be able to claim your Ethereum again, and the way you do that is simply just send it to a smart contract that will load up with all of this money. And anybody who has ducats, you just send them there, and the contract will send the Ethereum to you. It'll just be a
Awesome.
real simple exchange. Yep.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's,
Perfect.
yeah,
Perfect.
I wish it could happen sooner. I do, I do, but that's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you see then that changing, like you said, in a few years? Like, how dramatically do you see that shifting, and where do you see that going in like 2-3 years from now?
Sure, yeah. So once we're out of kind of that whole locking and everything, the ecosystem will continue to work kind of as it is. Instead of your rewards being locked and you earning ducats will be actually something that turns into a sort of treasury. So you'll actually be purchasing the ducats at that point with the little bit of dust that you may have in your wallet. Is kind of what that problem solves. So originally it was, well, let's say somebody gets a ruby, they stake for 6 weeks, they earn a penny. Nobody's going to send them a penny. But what would be nice is if they could use that to purchase ducats. So then what
Mm.
we'll do is we'll take that Ethereum, we'll put it in a validator, and it'll start earning. And of course, in exchange, give you a ducat for whatever the purchase price may be. And that's, at the moment, I've set that at 0.00001 Ethereum. So really cheap. Really, I want it to be, just meant for dust at that point. You can buy it if
Yeah.
you want, you do your thing, but it's really meant for users to be able to not have just dust sitting in their wallets. And I don't know. I mean, most of your viewers probably know what dust is, but it's just that little bit of Ethereum that can't be sent because gas. And of
Yeah.
course, one more thing, gas is gonna, may actually kind of be a lot lower at that point. I'm not sure. I have been trying to find out as much as I can, but I know that with other proof of stakes blockchains, gas is not an issue. So hopefully that'll also help.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of gas, I'd like to dive in more into that, because I know anyone, like even just like for the Uniswap thing, I had to send a ridiculous amount of Ethereum gas to like cover the transaction. Obviously, I was happy to because I was getting a bunch of uni, but there's some people who were like comment because I made a video about it so to let people know, but there were some people who were commenting and saying like, I don't even have enough Ethereum to cover this transaction, but I really want to claim the uni. So like, yeah, so there's definitely an issue with gas. Where like, how do you see that being alleviated? Like, do you want to just talk to that a little bit and what we might see in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly can't comment on it too much only because of lack of knowledge. My
Yeah.
expertise isn't, developing the Ethereum blockchain itself. My expertise comes from more using it, as in smart contracts and kind of developing systems as I am right now. But again, because it's proof of stake, it just every other proof of stake blockchain that I've used, gas is not an issue. I mean, I know that Tron technically has a little bit of gas, but I've never known what that was, and most people don't know that either. And like on Steam, for instance, they use resource credits, so there are some gas components associated with it, but I don't see it being like, yeah, here, claim 400 uni, but you got to send me $12 first. So I
Yeah.
just don't see that happening. And in fact, it can't. For the longevity of Ethereum, it cannot sustain like that. People will not. They won't do it. They won't. I know a lot of people that aren't in the crypto sphere, and they will not. So until we can address that, which I believe 100% that they are, I just don't think they've released anything about it because maybe, who knows, maybe it doesn't work or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not one of those developers, but I do know that those guys are sharp. They're working on it. So
Yeah. So your assumption or estimate is kind of that they might be just taking from what some of these other blockchains are doing and maybe implement some version of that or something like that. Because yeah, like you're right. I mean, there's no issues with Steam sending transactions. There's no issue like with Tron. I mean, you do have to stake a little bit, but yeah, it's not really much of an issue in terms of like spending fees. And I think if people, obviously don't have to spend fees, they're going to be a lot more incentivized to use all these different things like built on Ethereum. I remember just the other day when I was watching a video of a few different influencers chatting, Ken Bosak, who plays a lot of like blockchain games, he was saying it's like, well, if I have to do a transaction on Ethereum every time I do something in the game, it's not possible for me to play the game if I have to spend like $5 to like walk forward or something like that. So
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think I think gas is definitely a big obstacle, but if they can get it right, then I think that's gonna be everything for Ethereum. So I saw that it's built on like EtherChest is currently built on Medalla, the Medalla blockchain, right?
Well, that's the test. So it's no, I mean it's yeah, that's the test net. That's what they've
Yeah.
they've coined Ethereum 2.0 test net. So our validators are currently running on, it's actually the Gurley test net, and yeah, that's where our infrastructure exists right now. Correct.
Okay. Okay, cool. And I mean, I just saw something recently talking about the Spadina testnet coming ahead of Ethereum 2.0. What are your thoughts on that? Are you guys going to be building on that? What is that going to look like?
So we are already actively involved with this project. Let's see, I think I deposited for three validators yesterday. So that was whatever it was, 32 times 3 test ETH. But of course it's all free, so no big deal on that. But yeah, so I'm just trying to think. I'm going to be running Tiku, Prism, and Lighthouse on those three as well, because apparently this is going to be like a dress rehearsal. So basically it's just going to, and it's not going to last very long. From what I was reading, only 72 hours. It's not really something that they're kind of telling everybody about. Please do it, do it, do it. Not that kind of a thing. But so I'm going to definitely be involved in it, though. It's something that needs to be done. Why would I stop now? I want to I want to be ready just like everybody else. But we're
Yeah.
We're sitting.
Awesome. So I mean, for people who are kind of like skeptical about Ethereum, because I mean, we've had so many chains that were supposed to be the Ethereum killer, which never really, came to fruition. So for people who are kind of skeptical about Ethereum, like what would you say to these people? Because like there's so many projects and companies that are building on Ethereum. I think personally, the way that I view Ethereum is that it's kind of like the use case for development. Whereas I look at like Bitcoin, like a store of value, like digital gold. I look at Ethereum as kind of becoming like Web 3.0. So what would you say for that? And what is your perspective of how do you view Ethereum as like a whole?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Honestly, I look at it as the EVM, the Ethereum Virtual Machine, a giant computer. So yeah, I mean, it's a place where developers can come, they can create their games or solutions to whatever it may be. I mean, I mean, when it comes to the way that blockchains operate in a modern way, Ethereum has really set the bar for that. I mean, non-fungible tokens came from Ethereum. ERC20, that's Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, those types of things are what that chain is meant to be. I do have to say that, like you mentioned Bitcoin. I mean, it could be that Ethereum in the future could possibly be a bit of a store of value, only because if if the value increases, if it goes to 10,000, everybody will be like, oh yeah, Ethereum's a good store of value. But I think really the power of it is that Ethereum virtual machine. That fact that you can get on there as a developer, you can write your code, you can make these cool little programs do whatever you want them to do, and it's got the power of the ledger. It's got everything that you need, and yes, many amazing projects are built on it. I mean, again, we're going to talk about Uniswap again, but I mean, that changed people's lives, and it was Ethereum that was able to do that. So I wholeheartedly believe in it. It's one of the big ones. We don't need new chains. I think they're moving forward, and they're going to be here to for a long time, to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's so many different solutions that can be applied to it too, using off chain and all these other like amazing ways to kind of, get around issues with gas and different things. So I think there's a huge range of solutions out there, especially with Ethereum. And I mean, there's a lot of people who would say stuff like, EOS is going to be the like the Ethereum killer. And I mean, I can't make a transaction on EOS because of the congestion on there. So I mean, every chain's got its caveats, but I definitely think Ethereum is definitely the enterprise chain, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
where do you see EtherChest going in the next year, maybe the next few years? What is kind of like the long-term vision?
Sure. So again, I've started this out as kind of an ecosystem right off the bat. I don't want it to just be plainly a staking service. There are so many things, like we're mentioning, that the Ethereum blockchain can offer, that we need to be part of this, and we need to enable it. So we want to make sure that we can enable more developers. So to the point of ducats, that was a good question. What's going to happen after the 2 years? So if we are, I'll pose a question. If we are staking this Ethereum, what are we doing with the Ethereum that's produced by the ducat validator? Well, that's what we want to use to actually enable other developers and the community to participate, to spread the word, to do what it takes to make this technology great. We're very, very community oriented. That's one of the main reasons, funny enough, I started on the Steem blockchain originally a couple of years ago, is because community, man. Without people, you can't do it. This is for the people, you know what I mean? It's distributed. Everybody needs to have a piece in it. So we're going to continue that vision. We're definitely want to fund projects. That's number one. And we want to just continue to enable people to be, part of this Ethereum validation. Another point And this kind of comes from the Tron blockchain. They have this idea of super representatives, and their super representatives kind of do the same thing. And since we're moving to proof of stake, I want to bring that concept to Ethereum as well. Why not be one of the biggest block validators on Ethereum to help the community in the best way? So yeah, I mean, I want to be a huge block validator. I want to help the community. I want to enable people. I want Ethereum and Bitcoin and all of them to succeed.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's always good to see that sometimes people are like really, really heavily like a maximalist of something, but I think it's really good that even though your focus is on Ethereum, you're not like a maximalist and you're not like, Bitcoin is a scam or whatever. And it's funny that you said you kind of got started community wise on Steam, because it was the same for me, and the conversation I had earlier today with the co-founder of Discussions.app, which is on EOS.io. He actually started on Steam as well. So it's really funny how a lot of people kind of started there, because I mean, it really was one of the first social platforms on a blockchain. So I think that's really interesting that a lot of people started there. I mean, it's definitely not what it was then, but it's definitely connected a lot of people, and I think it's yeah, and I think it was a really good use case to show how social media on a blockchain can really bring a lot of people together, because for people who are more familiar with what I do, a lot of what I do is like looking at different social media platforms on blockchain and exploring those, because I think that's a really big venue for mass adoption. I think a lot of people are going to come into this space through social media, and I think that's going to just be a huge proponent of mass adoption. And I mean, if people can also start staking their Ethereum, I think that's going to be really big as well, because I mean, a lot of people have Ethereum, but they don't want to do a lot with it right now. But if they could just stake it, then I mean, even if fees are high, I'd rather be making money off of it, So I think it's really important to patronize Ethereum in terms of staking and all the other interesting things that we can take advantage of. So what are some big like things in the works that you have coming up very soon? Is there anything that we haven't touched on already that you'd like to share with us?
Well, let's see here. You'll have to wait and see on a couple of things, but basically, yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to our launch. We want to get this, all set up and get the user interface running. There's already a demo of it on the website itself, but we're going to get it looking nice and running good. I've already got most of the code written on that, so it's just a matter of implementing it over the next few weeks, testing it, and launching to it. I'll be announcing a little bit of a online, one of them COVID launch parties, so we can all share in this, and it'll be held on Discord. We'll have some live DJs and just some trivia and some fun stuff to just kind of get to meet the crew and everybody involved. So I'll definitely let you know and when I announce that, but that'll be coming up in the next few weeks. Other than that, yeah, man, here we go, baby. We're getting ready to launch, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So is there any other projects that are doing something really similar to what you're doing? And how do you maybe differ from them? How are you similar? What does that look like?
I mean, there's a whole host. Yeah, there's a whole range of different services out there. Everything from stake as little as you possibly can to ones that, well, we only accept certain amounts, or just full validators, some with NFTs like mine, some with fungible currencies as well. There's a whole range of staking services out there for sure, and each one of them is going to have their appeal to each kind of user. I'm hoping that ours is set apart because of our whole ecosystem with the fungible and the non-fungible tokens, and it kind of makes it fun. And I got to tell you, our community is really fun. If you come and hang out in the Discord, you'll like it. But yeah, there's, I think right now, there's 6 or 7 on the list on Beacon Chain. So if you go to beaconcha.in, Beacon Chain, it'll give you a whole list of staking services, which we're of course part of. But yeah, awesome, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I want, again, like I was mentioned earlier in Discord, I've communicated with my competition. There's no reason for us to be shiny, shooing each other away from the service. I mean, I don't want all validators. I just want a small portion of them, like 10% of them, and I'd be super, super happy. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that is most of what I have here. Is there anything specific that you'd like to touch on, or point towards in terms of Ethereum 2.0 or staking or anything that we've touched on?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I really want to thank you again for having me on. A lot of times as a startup and kind of a newcomer, with not much of a name, it's hard to get, any kind of recognition or anybody to even want to interview. And I really appreciate you having me on tonight, man. It's been fun. And other than that, man, I look forward to, EtherChest.com blowing up and becoming one of the biggest validators and continuing the vision of Ethereum 2.0.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm happy to always, talk with anyone. I don't think there should really be a barrier of entry. I mean, ironically, the way that I started doing these was just I was starting to get a little popular on minds.com, and the CEO just reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to record a talk and put it out?" And I was like, "Sure." And then yeah, and then here we are, like 2.5 years later, and just doing talking to everyone. So yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone should have like a barrier of entry of what they're allowed to say, or when you have a certain amount of followers you should be allowed to do anything, because I started from zero too. So I think everyone deserves to have a voice and share with everyone. So yeah, I really appreciate you coming on as well. A couple fun questions before we end this off. If you could have any crypto influencer, join EtherChest as like part of the team or something, who would that be?
Oh, jeez. I'm not gonna pick anybody, but honestly, I mean, everybody's so fit. You guys are great, man. I mean, you're part of this even. Everybody is really great, and I think what would make me most happy is just the recognition. If anybody said anything, wow, look at EtherChest. These guys are doing something really great, and they're open, and they're honest, and they're real. If I can hear anybody say that, I'm going to be really happy.
Awesome. And if you had $100,000 to invest in crypto or really anything, what would your choice be if you had to invest it like right now?
I had to invest it right now in a project. Okay, let's see. Honestly, I would put it into any of the smaller blockchain games that are coming up right now. One that I can think of right off the bat, I've been talking to the developer, and he's small time and he's still struggling. But Volition is a new card game that he wants to launch. So I would probably start by there. Be like, okay, well, who needs money? $10,000. I mean, you say $100,000, but man, I could give 10 people $10,000. And they would be so stoked. I mean, I remember when I first, a couple of years ago when I first started with DAP Caps, if I would have had $10,000 and I could have spent that on marketing and advertising, everybody would be playing that game right now. And maybe in the future they will. But yeah, definitely the smaller blockchain gaming, the blockchain game is going a long way. And once the gas fees get alleviated, it's over, man. You'll see them everywhere.
True.
So yeah,
would you say blockchain gaming is kind of part of your roots, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so. I think that's a big part of it. Andrew Wagner up at Blockchain Gaming up in Vancouver, BC has been a really fantastic person. And he's, again, one of those people who's listened to me and been like, wow, he does know what he's talking about. This is really interesting. So yeah, I definitely have roots in that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can everyone find you, and where can everyone find EtherChest?
Yeah, so just hit up etherchest.com. That's the website. And on Twitter, I'm at EtherChest. And if you type in EtherChest on Google, we're going to be the only thing that pops up. So, yeah. anywhere
So
you
good branding.
EtherChest. Yeah, it's good branding. I don't know how I was able to snag up that .com, but I did it. So I'm happy about that. But yeah,
Awesome.
etherchest.com. Check me out. Twitter, Discord as well. I mean, I'm not going to spit off the Discord link right now, but maybe you can put it in a description or something like that. But yeah, we have a fun
Yeah.
time.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone, make sure to check out EtherChest, check out what he's all about. And don't lose hope on Ethereum, because those gas fees will get figured out sooner or later. Anyways, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much for watching this video to the very end. Since you did, it'd be awesome if you could give this video a like and comment #1ham in the comments below. Also, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe to this channel and follow me anywhere under @ScottCBusiness, because I'm basically on every platform. You can find all the platforms that I am mainly using though at www.scottcbusiness.com. You can also find all my social links as well as my crypto addresses if you'd like to donate to me on Cointree at cointr.ee/ScottCBusiness. And you can also donate directly by donating to scottcbusiness.crypto or scottcbusiness.eth with supporting wallets. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate your support. I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scott C Business, signing off. Cheers.